welcome to the Gaming Pulpit. This is your host JD, and we're going to be looking at my personal favorites of E3 so far because Sony isn't there. It's these are the games that I think I'm going to buy, or at least I have some sort of interest in. So let's actually kick it off with Watch Dogs 3. So from what I hear from Watch Dogs, I don't know how they're going to pull this off. I honestly don't. I heard, there was some rumors maybe what was it, like a couple of weeks, maybe a week ago. They stated that you were going to be NPCs, and I'm thinking like, what the fuck does that even mean? Well, what they mean is essentially you have to recruit. So supposedly you got the what do you call it? Martial law that's totally destroyed, London and shit like that, and everyone's under surveillance, and they just, it is what it is. So apparently, you're going to build a resistance to your government, and what you're supposed to do is to recruit anyone that you see. Now, when you see them, supposedly you could be them. And each NPC has their own life. They have their own, dialogue. They have their own voices. I'm very curious to see how that's going to work out. I mean, it looked like they came into their own. You know what I mean? It's not trying to be a Grand Theft Auto clone anymore or anything like that. They, if they can pull this off, and supposedly every NPC has their own storyline and their own mini storyline, this is going to be big shit. Definitely like Ubisoft's, most ambitious title, and it's good on them. You know what I mean? The only thing I don't particularly like is the graphics look like it took a hit. And now, if the graphics took a hit, I can only surmise that they must be doing some sort of, they have to be doing some kind of ambitious shit in terms of, all of the information that they're packing in there. So, I'm going to take a look at it again, once I, wind down and see what I want, or see what's going on with it. But supposedly you're able to, every NPC has their own storyline. And, I mean, that's some good shit. And you can, if you don't want to be lethal, you don't have to be. Good on them for that, because it was hard to see how they were going to do that. Final Fantasy, there's a lot of information on Final Fantasy, so I'll just read this off. First and foremost, Final Fantasy VII seems to, it literally looks like it has a really good battle system, you know what I mean? It looks like it's, it's a little bit of both active and, turn-based, which is pretty cool. So let me take a look here. So apparently the game is going to be, the first part of the game is going to be released on my birthday, March 3rd. The first part will be focused entirely on Midgar with 2 Blu-ray discs. Jesus, that's a lot. Or at least 2 Blu-ray discs worth of content, as the development teams are planning on expanding the story of Midgar. The technical mode, or tactical mode, which is optional. So supposedly the enemies have a focus gauge. If filled, you can stagger your attacks for bonus damage. Filling your ATB, which is a meter as well, which allows you to use the tactical mode, which basically the game slows down, allows you to plan to use your abilities, kind of like turn-based essentially. Item usage is limited, when you're in this mode, and the stagger mechanic from Final Fantasy 13 is in. So that's all the information regarding it, because that's let's be serious, that's the most important thing when it comes to the fans of the Final Fantasy. It's the turn-based. Supposedly this turn-based system had the best turn-based of that generation. Personally, I liked Parasite Eve and Xenogears, but people are going crazy for this. I mean, it's curious to see what they're going to say about it. I think based off of what I've seen and what I've heard it's going to be, I mean, you can't have the game exactly the same. You know what I mean? You still have to kind of take into consideration of the new people that played the game. I mean, the new people that haven't played the game yet. You have to take consideration. But it looks like they got the art style perfect. You know what I mean? There was a lot of complaints about the art style or the character models and stuff like that being, well, Cloud, he looked like he was fucking sick. It looked like he had AIDS, essentially. So, they beefed him up a little bit. They stayed true to the art style, from what I understand. Now, I was never a big fan of Final Fantasy. I don't know if I'll get into this, but it does look interesting, I will say, and it will do game busters in Japan. This is exactly what the PS4 needed to spark interest in Japan, because the Switch has been killing it. But if you look at the Switch sales in Japan, it's starting to die off there a little bit as well. So, I mean, you need these things. You need these things, and good on Square Enix actually doing this. They didn't have to do it. I guess they kind of had to do it on the low. You know what I'm saying? But this is something that they needed to do. They needed to do this, and Japan needs it. Consoles are just not as big as they used to be. Next, what we have here is Doom Eternal, which is personally one of my favorite games, other than the Watch Dogs game. If I can pull up this information, I thought I put it in here. Son of a bitch. Watch Dogs, son of a bitch. Oh well. Anyway, from what I hear is that the Watch Dogs game, not Watch Dogs, sorry, the Doom Eternal game, they have like a Souls mechanic where people could actually invade your game as these monsters and stuff like that. So, they obviously have new mechanics in there where you have like the little grappling hook, and you're more mobile than ever, if that's even possible, because you were pretty damn mobile before in arena games of the first person class. They don't make them shits anymore. So it'll be very interesting to see exactly how this is going to play out, especially for the multiplayer, because the multiplayer completely failed for the last game. One little gripe I have is that the game looks a little bit too clean. It looks like there's missing, like the effects they're not saturated effects. And I'm kind of disappointed. I don't know. I'll see how it is when the game actually comes out. We'll see. We'll definitely see. Cyberpunk. What is there to say about Cyberpunk? There are a lot of people looking into this game. I'm not looking into this game, actually. They know about it. People are super fucking excited for Cyberpunk. Mainly due to the fact that, it's made by CD Projekt Red. They fucking, they made The Witcher 3. They build up over time their reputation. I mean, the first Witcher wasn't that great. Let's be honest here. It was okay. Second one, kind of like ramped it up. I mean, they just gotten better. So they definitely built up their reputation. And, when they made The Witcher 3, it was so saturated with lore. It was saturated with, just quality side quests. I mean, yeah, they're, I don't know if you want to call it their combat, the engine that they had in their combat mode, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Let's say combat engine. Wasn't that great. I mean, they had all the spells and everything there, but it just wasn't that great. But with their track record, they just keep improving and getting better and better. So clearly, as you can see with this particular video, you know what I mean? It honestly looks like, why does it look like that? Oh, I guess the video actually got fucked up. Oh well. It's like hiccuping. What the fuck? Anyway. I mean, what you can see here, I mean, I like it. The voice acting is a little bit hammy. I'm not playing the tracks or anything like that, but the voice acting is a little bit hammy in here. But I will say that the graphics they're fucking good. They're really good. If it's real time, we don't fucking know. I don't think that's real time looking at it, but they do have really good animations and stuff like that, even if it is CG. So, we'll see. it, it looks like CG Project Red is targeting um, their lackluster combat system in this game, and then having it first person. I mean, it's a lot to like about this game. You know what I mean? It seems like Blade Runner type esque games are one of those things that it seems to be the end thing to do, and it can't come out at a better time. My fear, and it's a shame, is that I feel like it's going to be held back by these current generation consoles. I kind of wanted it to be next gen only, but supposedly I heard that they are not doing ray tracing as well, which is a shame. You know what I mean? Especially when next generation consoles are coming out next year. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, if the game's gonna be good, but just not revolutionary good to me if it's held back by these consoles. And lastly, what I wanted to talk about is obviously like I couldn't get the Halo video in here at all. I really couldn't get it in there. I tried. I honestly tried to do it. It was some sort of block on that video. But when you looked at the Microsoft E3 conference, did you kind of find it was weird that everything that they said about the Xbox Scarlet mirrored almost perfectly the PlayStation 5? You know what I mean? Like we know now, at least if you didn't know, there's no custom parts. There isn't any. They get it from AMD, and AMD is just paint. You know what I mean? Oh, these consoles are essentially CPUs, or not CPUs. They're essentially PCs. With their own OS. Basically. So I guess the APIs or the low-level code is the thing that's going to differentiate. But you're not going to see any type of specific, power gaps this time around. There's not going to be a power gap this time around. These consoles are going to be virtually identical, and the only thing that's going to separate them is exclusive. But I've just found it odd. You keep hearing these big wigs talk about how it's specific. They got these custom hardware. No, they didn't. They said the same exact thing, and I found that was kind of alarming and even weird even. So I was just like, wow, I can't believe that. But these are the games that I actually find Watch Dogs specifically. I can't wait for that. We gotta see how that's going to play out because that's super ambitious. But let me know in the comments what you liked or disliked about the video, and if you liked it, or something would be appreciated. Peace out, breeze.